thing you need to ask yourself, where was the best achievements that you had in that year? So think about a time where it could have been you started your business, or you did your first real estate deal, or you might have had a deal where you made a lot of money. Those are something that I would want to consider one of your best achievements. So think about a time, and this is something that I learned in my, master practitioner course. Think about a time, a very specific time when you had a really good achievement. So this is an exercise that I want you to do. So take out a pen and paper, because at the end, I'm going to show you how to wrap it all in so that you can actually learn from your past and make more money. So the first thing I said, like I said, write down some of your greatest achievements. So I'm gonna give you a minute to maybe write down 3 of your best achievements for the year, and highlight your top one. I want you to get at least 3, because that'll give you a frame of reference. And if you heard any of my last episode where I talked about being able to pull from positive experiences, this will give you that, I guess I would say, fuel for you to be able to do that in the future. So write it down. Okay, so what are 3 unexpected things that happen as well? I know it's great to have all the positive things, but you got to have those 3 unexpected events that happen also, so you can use those as a frame of reference as well. So I'm gonna give you another couple seconds to write down 3 unexpected events. I mean, it could be something as simple as your car broke down. I'm just gonna give my example. I had a deal that should have closed in May. It fell apart the day of at the closing table. That was a huge unexpected thing for me, which kind of set me back financially, because I was going to use that money to do a lot of other things. And like I mentioned before, when you have assets and you don't have cash flow, this is why cash flow is huge. When you have to sell a deal and it doesn't work out like you want it to, it sometimes can put you in a bind. So for me, that was an unexpected event that happened. So give yourself 3 of those. Find something that doesn't even have to be that big, right? I would say make it in relation to your goal, though. Make it in relation to your goal. And I'm not saying that it was something that with your kid that couldn't affect you, because it could have took you out of work. So now think about your goals. What obstacles or challenges did you face in trying to pursue those this year? Like I said, you wrote down 3 unexpected events. Is it correlated to your goals? If not, then write down a couple of those. There could have been something small, again, like, I don't know, you ran out of gas trying to get to work. Or I don't know. I don't want to give my examples. Everybody has their own. So just write down what those challenges were, or what obstacles you faced in regards to trying to pursue your goals. Now, this is again more specific to your goals. The other 3 were just unexpected events that happened this year. These are going to be in relation to your goal, because this is where you're going to tie it all in the end, and how to use those experiences to make more money. For me, I would say time got in the way, of some of my goals this year. And it's not time per se for me. I mean, at the end of August, all the way up until, I'm still dealing with it right now. So that kind of set me back in regards to my productivity. I'm always trying to be hyper productive, but that just set me back a lot. So in my opinion, I felt like I lost 4 months, due to just health issues with not being able to actively use my brain like I normally do. So that kind of set me back. For me, that's one of my biggest ones. But narrow down your 3 biggest ones. And for me, vertigo was a big one, because it just set me back a lot of time. And then it just prevented me from being super productive, and even slowed down my cash flow coming in, because I couldn't really perform like I wanted to, because I really couldn't use my eyes that well, and I'm dealing with dizziness. It even set me back on my health with being able to go to the gym, because prior to that, I was going to the gym almost 3 times a week working out. And so after that happened, I think I was going once every 3 or 4 weeks. So you might have seen I got a little bit smaller, you know what I mean? So now that you've done this exercise or wrote the things down, if you're disappointed that you didn't reach whatever that goal is, then ask yourself, why did you not reach that? Where did you fall short? Was it because of lack of effort? Was it improper time management? Was it from procrastination? So based on challenges that you face, where did you fail the most? So only you can figure out what that is. For me, again, I think I failed myself, not intentionally, but it was just due to the fact that I had the health issue. And that could be my fault, because it could be that I was stressed out. But Actually, it's not. But I'm just saying, I didn't know at the time, but now that I've gone through and saw a specialist, it wasn't even something that I can control. But I feel like I could have controlled it in other areas with having certain employees trained up to a certain level where I could have depended on them more. So I think for me, I didn't hit some of the goals that I wanted. So I take full responsibility. I'm all about accountability, and as you should too. And this is the kind of exercise that's going to teach accountability. I'm holding myself accountable, even though I had health issues. I still had 8 months prior to that I could have got my team in place just in case something happened. And I'm going to share this with you. One exercise that I learned, because everybody's on a learning journey. One thing is when you're trying to sell a company, I don't know if you watch Pat Bev Dave, PBD got a podcast and he was talking to this one guy about he was trying to sell his business. And the people came in, they lowballed him on his offer because they walked around and they asked the employees, how often is PBD here? He's here all the time, right? So they came back to him and was like, we can't buy your business because without you being here, it's going to fall apart. So he had to basically figure out for the next couple of years how to remove himself from the business in order for him to be able to sell it. And so when they came back around, I think he got 5 times what they came to him the first time because they came back around and they asked the employees again, how often is PBD here? He's only here maybe once or twice a month, if that. So that was like, okay, cool. He's not here all the time, and therefore the business will do well. It's like when you have a business, I talked about it, I think it's 73% of the businesses in the US are run by one person, right? And so if that person goes down, then the whole business goes down. That's not particularly my case, but I do know if I'm absent for an extended period of time, we'll have issues. And that's kind of what happens. So for me, one of my things that I'm going to do for next year is really get my employees leveled up so then I can walk away from the business because I do want to sell the business. So at some point in time, even if I don't sell it, I want to be able to, if I am down for whatever reason, or if I just want to take a vacation, the business is not going to fall off or we're going to have cash flow situations or issues because I'm not available. So for me, that's kind of one of my things that I'm going off right now, like giving you guys an example of me, right? I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. So this is something that will give you an example, of what maybe you can help you out in trying to, I guess, narrow down whatever your 3 biggest issues are. And so, like you guys always know, the reason why you're doing this exercise, my favorite thing to say is failure is only feedback. And so for me, all these things that you have written down, all these exercises that I try to give you guys, it's just showing you that failure is okay. Failure is the pathway to success. Like you gotta fail. So by doing this, you're able to see the feedback. I'm always talking about data. When you don't have data, don't know where to make tweaks. It's like doing marketing and not having KPIs. You don't know. You need key performance indicators to know where you need to make changes. And you need to have that in your life. And so this is what this is. Like you can have data when you're doing marketing, you can look at the performance numbers, right? And then you're like, okay, I can tweak that. But if you don't do something like this, then how do you learn from your mistakes? What kind of KPIs do you have in your life that are helping you tweak and navigate so you make these different changes so then the next year that comes around, you know how to operate. So this is how you learn from your mistakes. You're using this. I'm giving you basically life KPIs for you to tweak in order for you to hit your goals. So this is how you learn from your past to make more money. Right now, you have data, you have feedback on why you failed to accomplish whatever it is. So the next thing, now that you have these KPIs and say, okay, what on this list did I not stick to? Why couldn't I stick to my schedule? Or why couldn't I do this? Why didn't you do whatever it was you should have did in order for you to be successful? Based on these obstacles, based on these challenges, based on these unexpected events, what could you have done differently to have a different outcome? So was it fear? Was it time? What caused you to not do it? That's what you got to figure out. So looking at the 3 things and the obstacles and the challenges, what caused you not to hit those performance metrics is what we can call it. So write that down. Write down why didn't you do it? Write that down under the reasons or the excuses, I would say, or the explanations or the obstacles or the challenges. Why didn't you do it? What was the cause of it? Was it fear? Was it time? Was it procrastination? So write that down. What was it? And so while you're doing this, what you're doing is, again, you always hear me talk about this too. I'm all about the conscious mind and subconscious mind. Right now, writing it down, you're writing it down consciously, right? So now you're aware of what you're doing. And when you write things down, it also goes into your subconscious mind as well. And so you always hear me say the same thing. The unconscious mind is the goal getter. So your conscious mind basically right now is writing out the things that your unconscious mind needs to do. So being honest with this exercise and your observation of what you could have done differently is going to significantly impact your subconscious mind. This is the reason why I want you guys to write it down. You could just be watching this video as some form of entertainment or to learn from it, but you should actually be writing this down on a piece of paper because, again, it's data for you to use, for you to make tweaks. Because how else do you expect to go into the next year making more money or learning from your past? You can't do that because your memory is not that great. People's short-term memory is not that good, right? So if you don't write these things down, you're not able to go back and reflect on it. Like during my master practitioner, I took a lot of notes, right? So it allows me to go back and reflect. I even have I don't know if you saw the video of me breaking the board, but on that board, I wrote down the things that I didn't want on the front, and then on the back, I wrote down the things that I wanted to accomplish, not for the year, not for 5 years, but for my life. So this is kind of why I want you guys to do these type of things. So the next year, you don't make the same mistakes. So that's the purpose of this. I'm obviously happy that you're tuning in to learn from my experiences, but I also want you to learn from your own experiences. And the only way that you can do that is by actually really doing the exercise that I'm trying to get you to do, because now you can reflect back on it. I'm gonna get this last thing and I'm out of here. I did this arrow exercise at one of the seminars that I went to. I went to this Millionaire Mind Intensive, which is what set me on the path to where I am right now. I don't even think they do them anymore. Great experience, but it changed my life. And we did this arrow exercise. If you saw the video of me breaking the board, we did an arrow exercise where I had to put the arrow right here. And someone on the other end just had their finger right here. I mean, had their hand right here holding the arrow. And I had to walk through it and I broke the arrow with the soft spot in my neck. Crazy experience, but it changed my life. I found that arrow, I think a year and a half or 2 years ago, and all the things that I wrote on the side of that arrow have come to fruition. Prior to that, I had never done an exercise like that in my life. I was never into that kind of stuff. Like, if you know my background, I was not this person, but this is what happens. Like, you evolve, you learn, and you do what the people that came before you did. You not reinvent the wheel. So the Millionaire Mind Intensive was like 6 or 7 days of just learning how to think like a millionaire and operate how they do. And that's one of the things that they did. Like, you have these breakthrough exercises, which is kind of what the board break is and the arrow break. And you write down what you want to accomplish on the side of that. And by breaking through that arrow, you end up making those same impacts. And again, it's because it's your unconscious mind has tapped in to what you wrote down on the arrow. So like, this is why these exercises are important. So the board that I broke, I got some really exciting stuff on my board, and I'm banking on that coming to fruition, just like it did with the arrow breaking. So do these exercises; they are pretty helpful. And I say that just to say, keep that piece of paper so next year or 2 years from now, you can reflect back on these things that you didn't do this year, and hopefully next year you don't make those same mistakes. Or 2 years from now, you can look back and be like, man, I remember when I was making these mistakes. I remember when I was doing this. I remember when I was having a problem with this. All that feedback that you have now, you'll be able to reflect back on it in time and be like, this is why I'm where I am. So I hope you found this exercise helpful. If you did, share it with a friend and tune into the next episode. All right, guys, take care.